All right, so in this example, we're not actually asked to plug and chug. We're not asked to just take a number, throw it in a formula, do, and get an answer. We're actually asked to explain something. It says, describe the difference between simple and compound interest. So let me give you an example. Let's say I started with $1,000. That's my principal. And let's say this savings account, this magical savings account that I'm pretty sure doesn't exist anywhere in the real world, has an interest rate of 10%. What would be the difference from simple interest to compound interest at the end of 1 year? Let's do 1 year for both of these. And I want to know how much would be in my account. Well, with simple interest, all we would do is we would say that the interest is equal to the principal times the rate times the time. So I'm going to throw in 1,000. Remember that when you use percentages in these formula, it needs to be as a decimal number, so that's going to be 0.1, because I take 2 hops to the left, so I'll put that in here, 0.1, times the time, which is just 1. So if you do this, you should get $100 is the amount of interest. So therefore, the actual amount in your account would just be what you started with plus the interest, or in other words, $1,100. Okay, cool. So what about compound interest? Well, let's say you had compound interest that was compounded monthly. In other words, every month you calculate the interest at that time. Well, the formula there is much more complicated than this one, but it's the amount you have is equal to the principal times 1 plus rate over the number of compounds raised to the number of compounds times times time. And let's say that it's compounded monthly. So n equals 12, which is where that came from. So if it's compounded every month, that means per year you're going to do it 12 times. So if I plug everything into the formula here, 1,000 times 1 plus, my interest rate was 0.1, number of compounds is 12, all raised to the 12 times 1. If I throw this in the calculator, let's see what we get. So I do 1,000 times 1 plus 0.1 divided by 12, close the parentheses, raise it to the, and 12 times 1 is just 12, so raise it to the 12th, and we get $1,104.71. Your calculator says 713, so that's about 71 cents. So notice, with simple interest, it's only calculated once at the end of that year, and so you wind up with the 1,100. The compound interest, the reason the formula is more complex, is because it's actually calculating every single month interest on what you have, and then interest on your interest. So you wind up with a tiny bit more. We wind up with $4.71 more. Now, of course, in the real world, you're never going to get an interest rate of 10%. So even though you would think compound interest would be way better, most of the time it barely gives you anything. But if you can find a good interest rate and you're depositing quite a bit, then this could make a difference. But I already went way beyond because they actually want us to describe the difference in words. So the difference is this, just to reiterate. Simple interest is calculated once at the end of whatever time period it is that you borrowed, deposited money, took a loan, whatever. Compound interest is calculated a certain number of times during the time that you've taken the money or deposited the money. So in general, the compound interest will be higher than the simple interest. Usually not by much, but it will be bigger. And so that's the difference. And that's this example.